Hello, welcome to ComputerCut Pro. In this tutorial, we're going to show you how to use the cut window in the ComputerCut Pro program. To access it, when you first open up the ComputerCut program, the cut window opens up in the bottom in your tray down here. So you can access it by either going down to the tray, or you can go up and go to File, Cut Window, and access it that way. Once the cut window opens up, this is the area in which you will place the images and cut them. They will cut going from right to left. So in other words, this is the front of your plotter here. This would be the right side and this would be the left side. The default size for the ComputerCut Pro program is a 40-inch material or a 40-inch plotter. You'll notice right here are guidelines for the maximum widths for different size rolls. In other words, 18-inch would be the maximum width for a 20-inch roll, 22 for a 24-inch roll, 34 for a 36-inch roll, and so forth. That allows you 1 inch on each side to place the pinch rollers. In the ComputerCut Pro program, it's a little bit different than previous versions of ComputerCut in that you work from what is called a blank. That's this black rectangle around here, and that's the area in which you will be working. So the default program opens up to a roll width of 40 inches. So within this area, you are working with a 40-inch roll of material. If you have a different size roll, you can go and change the blank size to whichever size you have. Let's say you got a 36. Click on that and it changes to a 36-inch size. If you would like to change it to a custom size, you simply go to Layout, Blank Size, and a window pops up. And in here, you can place whatever custom size you want. And click OK, and it'll adjust the blank size to whichever custom size you want. Up here on the left is the size of whatever objects you put in here. You'll see that when we start inputting the patterns into the cut window. Here is the drop-down list for the roll width. This is the film length, and again, this is based upon the blank size. So the width in here, or the length, is 288 inches long. If you need something longer, again, you would go to the layout and to the blank size and adjust the length in the blank size. Over here you have the square footage of the film that you use when you cut and the amount that you utilize. We'll get into that a little bit later in the training video. Right here is the pull cut, which cuts the patterns when they are pulling back through the plotter. That decreases the chance that the film is going to jam up in your plotter. And then a checkbox for Resize enabled. The patterns, when they are brought into the cut window, are locked so that you cannot inadvertently resize them, but if you want to resize them, you just simply check this box and it will allow you to resize them. Over here you have the rulers. It starts at a 0 point up here and goes up to 40 inches because 40 inches is the default size that ComputerCut opens up to, and up here is the length in inches. For those of you who are familiar with the older ComputerCut program, these toolbars over here have the icons that were used in that particular program. You can continue to use them in the ComputerCut Pro program, but we also give you the option of using a different type of toolbar, which is a larger toolbar. To access that, go to View, Toolbars, Icon Size, and change it to large. And as you can see over here, it changes the icons to more descriptive icons with actual pictures of what you are actually doing and naming them. So it's much clearer and easier to use. For the purposes of this video, we're going to keep the toolbars with these large ones here. But for some people, depending upon the display of your computer, these will not fit in the display window, so you will need to use these smaller icons. A couple of other things about the cut window display here. It defaults to a blank white size, but you can customize it yourself. Many people like to have a grid in there, so you can click on View and then Show Grid, and it'll pop up a grid in here. Also, these guidelines right here for the different size rolls, they default locked, but you can customize these by going to Options, Guides, and unlock the guides, and then going over, and you can click on the ruler over here and right click on it, and it will throw a guide in here, and you can move these guides to whichever size you want. If you want to customize them, just double click on them and the Edit Guides window pops up, and in here you can add or delete guides and change them however you like. So in this case, we're going to delete that guide that we just put there, and I click delete and OK, and the guide is no longer there. Or let's say you never use 24-inch rolls, so you want to get rid of this guideline here. Again, you just double click it and select it in here and delete it, and it's deleted. So here's a quick tutorial on the look of the cut window and how you can customize it for your own use. So let's go ahead and bring some patterns into the cut window. We can leave this open and open up the ComputerCut program, and we'll go ahead and we'll select a pattern. In this case, I'll select the 2021 Ford Mustang. And it will populate into the main page application here. There we have it. And what you're going to do is, if you're cutting a car, you don't want to cut a whole car at one time. You only want to cut a section of a car at one time. So with the window tint patterns, the red windows are the driver's side windows, and the black windows are the passenger side windows. And each one of the patterns are arranged for a 40-inch roll. So if you're going to cut this Mustang, again, you don't want to cut the front and the back window. You just go ahead and select the two front windows and then hit the cut button, and it pulls it into the cut window. And as you see, it comes in as a solid color into the cut window, and it locks it into the blank size right here, so you can't move this outside of the blank and inadvertently cut off this bottom edge here. Also, if you want to rotate an image, all you need to do is just go over here where you have this curved image right here, and you'll see a hand, and you just click and hold your mouse key down, and it'll rotate the image. So you can move the images around within the blank or however you like, and arrange them however you like. So as was explained earlier, these images, when you go to cut, they're going to be cutting from right to left, going through like this. So this is the front of your plotter right here, And if you're standing over here and looking at it, this is the right side and this is the left side, and the images are going through like this. And for those of you who are not familiar with the pull cut or the cut on a pull, which is check marked right here, this is a feature you should have turned on whenever you cut window film, because window film is so thin, there's very little margin for error. And if it starts cutting as it's pushing through the plotter, it can have a tendency, if you don't have it set up properly, to roll up behind the blade and jam up in your plotter. So with the cut on the pull turned on, what's going to happen is it's going to first feed this material out like this, and it's going to start the cut here, and it's going to cut going like this, pulling it back, so it's pulling it back this way, so it's cutting this way, and then when it gets to this point, it's going to stop. It will feed the material out and then start again here and then cut again going this way. It takes a little bit longer, but it's a great feature that will save you a lot of material. Okay, so we'll start by going over the icons and the functions of what they do over here. Many of them are self-explanatory and easy to do, and then the ones that are more complicated, we'll delve into them a little bit further. So let's start with the first one, which is right here, the select. What this does is it allows you to select an image. So whenever you click on an image, it selects it and it puts these bounding boxes around it like this. And again, they're locked, so you can't inadvertently change the size of them. If you want to change the size, you have to go up here and click and check the resize enabled, and then you can resize it. But they default to being locked so that you don't inadvertently resize it and cut the wrong size. So whenever you want to select an object, you need to click this icon right here. Next is the cut button. What this does is it sends everything to the plotter, straight to the plotter. So if you hit this one right here, which is the cut tool, it will send everything that's in this window to the plotter to be cut. The next function and icon is the cut selected. This will allow you to cut a selected object and not the other object. So if you click on the object and it selects it, when you hit this, it's going to cut it exactly where it is in this window right here on your film. What's different between this and the previous version of ComputerCut is that if you want this to be cut on the film down here, you're going to have to slide it down and move it down and then hit the cut button, and it'll cut it right here. The next function here is the print function. If you have a bunch of images here and let's say a customer wanted to see exactly what you're cutting, you can hit the print and select whatever printer you have, and you can send it to the printer and print it out and give it to your customer. Next is the save function. If you create something in the ComputerCut and you want to save it to your private database, which is my database, click on save and a window pops up and it automatically pulled up this pattern here. And then we can let's change this and let's just say forward windows. And name it the to front, and then you can put whatever notes you want down in here and you click save, and then go back to the ComputerCut window. We'll reconnect here and then go down to the my database, which is your private database, and the category would be forward windows. And we'll click the front, and the two front windows will pop up into the main page application. The next icon is the import icon. By clicking on this, you can import all kinds of file formats. There's a whole list of them right here. In the previous version of ComputerCut, you were limited to only 2 file formats, but as you can see with the ComputerCut Pro, you almost have an unlimited amount of files that you can import into the cut window. Next, we have the undo and the redo features, and the next one is the outline feature. This can be used with patterns, but you would probably use it mostly when you are in the graphics portion of the ComputerCut Pro program. We're going to look at that in depth later on in the video. Next, we have the text function, where you can just click on that and then click anywhere in the cut window here and type in any text you want. And it works very similar to any type of Word type program. You have your ability to align the text vertically, indent. You have your different fonts here. Right now we have very few fonts in here, but one way to increase the number of the fonts that you have in the program is to go to File and then Install Fonts. And what this will do is it will go and it will search out your fonts in your Windows font folder on your computer. So what it's doing now is it's installing all of these fonts, and they're all installed right now. So now when I go and click on the text and go up to the fonts, you'll see they're all installed here. Next is your zoom in and your zoom out functions. By clicking the zoom in, you just click on the magnifying glass and click and drag a box around the area you want to zoom into, and it will zoom into it. And you can zoom out by just clicking the zoom out button, or you can zoom to the whole thing or if you want to quickly zoom out to the 2 images or to the blank, hit your F8 key and it'll zoom out to the original image. Next is the copy. Click on that and it will make a copy of the image. And then delete. You can either hit delete or you can hit your delete button on your computer. Moving on to the next set. If I want to click 2 images and together, you click and hold your shift key down and it'll select both images. And then if you want them to act as one, you click the group button over here and it groups the 2 images or whatever images that you're working on together, and when you move them or do anything with them, they act in unison. And to ungroup them, just simply click on the ungroup button here. And now they work separately. Next we move on to the flip horizontal. If you select a pattern and then click flip, it flips it or mirrors it horizontally, and then here vertically. Next we have the exact rotate. You click on that and it will rotate on 45-degree rotations. Click on rotate here. You can grab and rotate an image on a 360-degree level, or you can take and grab the axis point and move it to an area where you want it to rotate around that particular axis, and you can rotate it around that area right there. The next function is your resize. Click on that, and you can resize it by going up here, and you can click it and lock the lock, and that will resize it proportionally. Or when it's unlocked like that, you can resize it by length or by width without changing the other side. Once you change it, just click apply and it'll apply the changes to it. Now we'll move on to the align feature. Let's say I wanted to, let's just move this over a little bit and move this one over here. Let's say I wanted to align these two left edges up here. So if I just highlight one, hold your shift key down and highlight the other, then click on the align button. All of your align functions are up here, so we want to line these up on the left, so we'll click here and it will line the left edges of them up, or top, middle, bottom, right side, and middle vertically. These other functions right here, you're probably not going to use them that much, so it defaults to align to selected. But these other ones, if you click on them, you can align to the last object, align to a grid, or align to the sign blank, but you probably won't be using them that much for the purposes here. So, but they are available to you. And down here we have the tape measure, where you can click and measure the distance between 2 points. So let's say you wanted to measure the distance from here to there. So you can zoom into this right here, and you can click on it here, and then zoom out and click here, and it measures the distance between those 2 points, and it shows it up here. So it's 48.62. To get it more accurate, just zoom in here, oops, and you can grab it and stretch it to so that it's right on there. And if you hit the F7 button, it'll zoom out to it. So we'll zoom down here and just check and make sure that it's on the edge right here. Maybe move it out just a little bit more. And again, there's your measurement right there. And click apply. The next function here is the path edit feature. You can either click on that and it'll pull up the path edit functions within the program, or you can double click on the pattern and it will automatically pull up the path edit feature. This is a little bit more involved, so we're going to delve into it a little bit more intensively later in the video. Next is the new wrap feature in the ComputerCut program. This is a great new feature for both window tint, but especially for the paint protection. But we're going to show how it works just in the window tint for right now. But if you click on the wrap feature, it opens up this window, and what you can do is to zoom into where you want to start to wrap. So in other words, we'll just click, let's say we want to start a wrap right here, and we'll click on that and then hit the F7 button and then zoom in over here, and we'll click right there. And what it does is it throws a wrap feature on the top edge there. Now, those of you who want to file the top edges of the windows, this is a great feature. You can assign the amount that you want it to wrap up here. For purposes here, it defaults to 0.39, and click apply and then close, and it added that top piece here. Just to get a better look at it, we'll go up here and we'll go to view and get rid of the fill, and it'll show it in the line art, and as you can see, there's the added piece. So this is very useful for trimming the top edges of a pattern, or in the paint protection area if you want to add a wrap to the patterns within the paint protection program. And then finally we have the nesting feature right here. You probably won't use it too much in the window tint area because you need to heat shrink to a factory edge. So we're going to go ahead and pull up a paint protection pattern. We'll go up here and we'll go to Clear Shield Paint Protection. And I'll just pull up this pattern right here. And there it is. And I'll go ahead and select this front window here. Deselect these here. And we'll select the front hood and fenders and mirrors here and click the cut button, which will pull it into the cut window. And again, we've defaulted to the 40-inch. So to optimize these patterns for cutting with the paint protection, you can hit Control A, which selects them all. Let's get in here, Control A, and that selects them all. And just go down here and click the Nest button. And up here, we've defaulted it to the most efficient way of nesting it. You can change those parameters in here if you want, but as you'll see, it works out pretty good because you click apply and bam, it optimizes it within seconds. If you wanted to change that to a 36, and you got a 36-inch roll there, you can click 36 and it'll optimize it for a 36-inch roll. And go back and forth. You can do this again. Hit Control A and hit Next. And it should... Okay, there we go. And it nests it for a 40-inch roll. And then one final little trick for you, those of you that do the paint protection. Many dealers have a hard time trying to weed this out. So what they do is they will throw an outline around the pattern and just pull the outline out. So to do that, Again, you hit Control A, which selects everything. Go over here to Outline, and it throws an outline around the pattern of a 1/2 inch, and click Close, and there you have the outline. So what you can do is you just start weeding it right here, and it leaves the pattern in here, and you're not wasting all this material out here. The one thing to watch out for is that it does go a little bit past the blank in these areas here, but it still leaves the original image right there. So there is a quick review of the functions of the ComputerCut toolbars and icons.